Does the Seraphim deserve an apology? And is IVE's Wonyoung overworked? Let's talk Coachella, FANWAR Friday, and so much more in today's episode of Totally Legit K-pop News with me, Angelina. I'm sorry for leaving you for a week, but there was literally no K-pop news. You can't blame me. There was no news. I did everything there was no news. But let's get into it now that there is some news. Oh my god, thank god. So the Seraphim are currently on tour for their Easy Crazy Hot tour in which they're touring. So in their Seoul stop, Yunjin gave a speech which a lot of people are discussing, and we'll read the speech and why people are discussing it. But let's take a little trip down memory lane. The Seraphim definitely experienced a lot of hardships in 2024, and of course it started before Coachella, I would say, but Coachella was definitely perhaps a catalyst to a lot of the hate that they were receiving. I mean, they received so much hate for their Coachella performance. Week 1 was literally people saying that they can't sing. Now, keep in mind, week 1, the backtrack was almost non-existent. And a lot of people, even myself, were speculating that maybe there was actually an issue with the backtrack because that's just not normal. And then in week 2, when there was a regular backtrack, people were like, well, now they're lip syncing. It was a whole thing. Pair that with, the whole Minhee-jin situation going on. How quote unquote the Seraphim took New Jeans' spot to be the first hype girl group and so on and so forth. There was a lot going on. So in Yunjin's speech, she basically talks about an uncertainty when it came to their future and how, she was even asking their staff, what are we going to do? So let's take a look at this speech. After our first tour, a lot happened over the past 2 years. I cried while talking on the phone with company staff. I said things like, what are we going to do from now on? Is there even a future for us? I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. I really couldn't even see even an inch ahead. But what else could we do? We had to keep going. Even when we faced what felt like an insurmountable wall, the direction we had to move in remained the same. We kept having to move forward, so we had no choice but to put in the effort. She then makes mention specifically of last year. I think last year was also really difficult for Fear Nots. It was really painful, right? For us personally, during last year, we felt many things. I think a lot of emotions have built up during this time. It was really difficult, but it felt like it was too early and too unfair for us to give up here. There are so many people who support us. Do you know how a pearl is made? An irritant gets inside a shell, and through a very painful process, a pearl is formed. I believe that through this pain, I would create my own unique pearl. For the past 2 years, I've endured with the mindset that we have to work harder, grow even more, and protect the Fear Nots whom we love. But while walking in the darkness, I've come to realize that it isn't a cave we are in, but a tunnel. We began seeing the light at the end through award ceremonies, fan meetings, comebacks, etc. We felt the love of Fear Nots, and I felt the stronger relationship between the members, and we began to see again. So not only do we have that speech, but with the recent Coachella performances that have been happening over this weekend and last weekend as well, I've seen conversations surrounding with Seraphim specifically being I'm quoting people, okay, this is not my opinion, but people saying if this is how K-pop artists are performing, we owe the Seraphim an apology, basically. Because week 1 of Coachella was rough according to a lot of fans, basically people saying that if people weren't lip syncing, then they just couldn't sing at all. They were just not singing well or out of breath, no stamina, so on and so forth. You get the gist, right? You were there, not physically, but... And so it did bring up the conversation of, was the Seraphim's performance really that bad? Now, I was defending the Seraphim, even if there was a mistake with the backtrack, even if the backtrack, even if that was the mistake, given the state of K-pop currently, I always appreciate a live performance no matter. It could be terrible. I appreciate that they put themselves out there and actually sang live, because it's so easy to just hide behind a super loud backtrack or just not singing at all. And I remember getting a lot of heat for that as well. It's there. Shut up. This is my opinion, remember? But yeah, with all that said, I would love to know what you think of all of this, because of course 2024 was definitely very difficult for the Seraphim. I think with their recent comeback, public sentiment has changed. But again, let me know your thoughts. And with that, we're going to move on to some Coachella Chit-Chat. Week 2 of Coachella, I feel was night and day. So just an example, again, I am just retelling you what I'm seeing on the internet, okay? But for week 1, I saw a lot of people saying that XG were lip syncing. And then for week 2, I'm seeing a lot more people posting clips oh, you can hear some ad libs. Oh, they were mad at the lip syncing allegations. So here they are singing live. Same for Jennie as well. A lot of people are praising her, increase in stamina. That being said, Doesn't mean people are not absolutely starting fan wars left, right, and center, but just like the overall vibe, I feel like is quite improved on. So I obviously can't show you any clips. We're gonna get copyright claimed. Like even the tweets that I had saved, it says like taken down by copyright owner. Coachella is notorious for that. You're just gonna have to use your imagination. Go watch it. Why not? There is a clip that I think I can show because it's a fan cam. I don't know if you guys remember at Blackpink's concert, the cameraman fell. Wait a minute. Where are my earphones? My one singular earphone. Oh no, wait, was it Coachella last year? Oh my God, I think it was Coachella last year. Well, the same thing happened at Lisa's set now, this year. Oh, he fell too. Just wanted to hear what song it was. Oh, so that's been a discussion as well. There's also an issue with ENHYPEN because during someone else's set, there was a mistake with the live stream and suddenly it was streaming ENHYPEN's video. So you could still hear the audio of the other person's set. I can't show you the video itself because it's official footage, but it was during Claro's Coachella YouTube live stream. They accidentally cut to ENHYPEN's live stream. So that's also been a discussion. I don't know if you guys remember, but before the Coachella performances, a lot of people were saying that, Lisa and Jennie are not on good terms, and people saying that Jennie didn't even go see Lisa's set. But people continue to provide, pictures or evidence that that's not quite the case. But yeah, I think that's it for our Coachella Chit-Chat. What did you think of this year's Coachella? What are your hopes for next year's Coachella? Who are you really hoping to maybe headline or even just perform at Coachella point blank? Let me know your suggestions in the comments. Let's talk about IVE's Wonyoung because there was a post made about her hectic schedule. So let's take a look. On Monday, she completed a Japanese fan meeting and headed to Nagoya Airport and returned to Incheon. On Wednesday, she attended an Innisfree store event. On Thursday, she headed out once again and arrived in Taipei. She then successfully held a fan sign event and then returned to Incheon on Friday. On Saturday, she headed to the airport once again and arrived in Vietnam for a brand event. She then left on Saturday and arrived in Incheon once again on Sunday. And that same afternoon, she headed out to Fukuoka. So in the span of just 1 week, she traveled to Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam, Korea, and Japan. Remember reading part of this post being like her face for some reason looks haggard. I was like, it literally doesn't, but whatever. But then the comments are really interesting. I know a lot of people are going to, is sympathize the right word? Like feel bad for her, like, oh my God, she's working so much, maybe she needs a break. But there's a lot of people also being like, that's the life of a celebrity. If I was getting paid that much, I would do the same. I would gladly take like first class flights and have my makeup and hair done and go to all these events. Here's some of the comments. I'm sorry, but her schedule doesn't seem hectic. Someone packs their bags, does their makeup, and even buys food. All she has to do is whatever they tell her to do. The only thing that could be hard for her is to show aegyo during fan meetings. I think she'll think it's all worth it after she checks her account balance. What's the most useless worry in the world? Who's worrying about who? The poor people without money are the most pitiful. There's nothing we can do. Idols lose popularity quickly, so they need to earn a lot. They don't get much work in their 30s. They have to work like crazy now in their prime. That's also a very interesting point to point out. So of course, let me know your thoughts on that as well. And let's move on to Kpop Shenanigans. No, oh my God, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Whatever happened to FANWAR Friday? Yes, FANWAR Friday. This FANWAR is just like so funny to me because I see this tweet just like out of the corner of my eye. I'm like, it's so random. It's just like Chewie of Twice versus Jennie of Blackpink. That's all I've been seeing all over Twitter. And I was thinking to myself, what started this? Like, I don't remember what started this. Whatever, it's FANWAR Friday. We don't question, we just observe. But then I did remember actually what started it. So I'll show you the tweet in question that kind of triggered all this discourse. It seems to be Chewie responding to a fan about her stage presence. And she basically says, yeah, Twice is Chewie and asked to be more lively on stage. I don't need everyone to like me, which in and of itself caused a lot of discourse. And then bam, FANWAR Friday with Blackpink's Jennie. Here's more of what she said. Do you want the person you love to always be lively and cute? I hope the person I love has once. When you're happy happy, I will be happy too, but I also want to accompany you when you are sad. I want to understand. I don't want to get stuck in your emotions, but I hope you give yourself some time and space to digest. What's important is not how others see me, but whether I really feel that I am getting better. This is not a matter of philosophy. Everyone has their own innate emotional flaws. Only by facing and understanding them we can truly get better. This is not something that ends after completion. It is a lifelong task, which is basically what she wrote on Bubble, with the last line being, I don't need everyone to like me. I mean, this was wild. People were comparing their stage presence. People were comparing, numbers. People were comparing their education level. People being like, Chewy has a master's in psychology. And then people responding, well, actually, it's a for-profit university, so it doesn't really count. Da-da-da-da-da. It was everywhere. And this has been going on for a while, too. Like, I get a FANWAR Friday, but this one felt quite long. I don't know. So let's move on to Kpop Shenanigans, which are basically fun little things that have happened in K-pop recently and or quick news. Have you heard the demo for The Chase by Hearts to Hearts? This is apparently originally from Flow. Let's listen to it a bit.
Can nobody take my place? Can nobody move this way?
I love hearing demos. I love hearing original lyrics. I love hearing the different vibe that you can get. That's really interesting.
Now make it pop. You know this.
I was wondering what was going to happen to 내 맘대로. So what do you think? We should look into the meaning though. Like how does the meaning change? Because it's very rare. I feel like demos keep the same meaning. Well, the final song keeps the same meaning. Is that it for Kpop Shenanigans? Oh my god. So we're going to end off talking about Taeil. So if you want to skip this segment, I totally understand. You can catch me in another video. But there are a couple updates in regards to this. Ex-NCT member Taeil, who was indicted on charges of assault. So of course we heard that SM Entertainment terminated their contract with him. And now it seems that we have a court date. This is according to Star News, but essentially the Seoul Central District Court will hold their first hearing for Taeil and 2 others on May 12th, 2025. Basically, the last we heard from this is that he wasn't being detained. So a lot of people were discussing how, he's free to roam around. But that's, of course, the update that we have so far. So that is basically it for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video with friends you don't have. Oh my god, I forgot to say that in the intro. These are the lovely individuals who help support my channel on a monthly basis. Thank you so much to my channel members and patrons. You can also go subscribe to my second channel. I reached AR 39 in Genshin. I'm trying to reach AR 40 so I can ascend Baido, who is my strongest character right now. I can't pull any 5 stars except for Mona, who was supposed to be Verasa, and I deal with that grief every single day, but I digress. So, do I have any songs I'd like to share with you guys? I feel like I haven't been able to communicate with you guys in so long. I literally, there was no news. And maybe there was news, but like not enough to make a video. You have to admit. So I really like Cantissimo by Marina. I kept hearing it on TikTok and I was like, hey, I like that. I kept thinking that she was saying konnichiwa. Doesn't it kind of sound like that? But Cantissimo. Anyways, that's my recommended song. I've been listening to a lot of XGXDM remixes, which are really good, by the way. But yeah, that is where we're going to end this. Thank you once again, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!